PMLs for 24 to 36 months. Where are those guys at, right? Because they might have the 9 to 5 and don't want to have their money in and out of deals because it's time consuming. What's up, guys? I'm here with Nick, another Subto student. Are you living in New York too now?
No, I actually live in Warsaw, Illinois.
Okay, Warsaw, Illinois. We're here in a pad split. Dom is here. He's a top producing wholesaler in Subto, and he's actually a PML on the deal that we're in. The exit strategy that they took on this particular property is a pad split. Really quick backstory. It was originally a wrap. The wrap didn't work out. The 11th hour, the wrap buyer didn't fund the deal. Nick came in. I'm not sure how involved he got in on the wrap, or maybe you were in on the wrap already, but he's a PML and I just want to get his insight. I've been talking to a lot of PMLs lately, and most of them want, less than 12 months on their money. They want to be able to get that money back within 12 months. Sounds like you might have done something a little bit longer term. Tell us a little about like your money, where was it parked, and how you structure things.
Right, so my money was, it was in a Vanguard IRA that I had started back when I was 18. And I also had money in a HSA from my first employer, right? So that money has compounded over time. I've actually done really well with it, but when COVID happened, I lost a bunch. I was up 30% and I went down, I was only up 10%, but that's not bad for market returns, right? But I was thinking about ways that I could be more involved in real estate because obviously my goals are to get out of the 9 to 5 and do this full time. And so I was looking to take my money, invest it in real estate so that I could get more experience learning from people that are actually doing deals. I think Pace calls them swimmers, maybe is the term that he uses. It's like he's got all the different animal names for the different type of lenders. And like I'm somebody that wants to invest and learn, not just take some big amount of money and park it in a deal to get returns. I'm here to learn.
Gotcha.
And so it buys me access to people that are doing deals and I get a good return. So the way we structured this one, it was a wrap. Dom needed me to buy out his other lender because they wanted out of the deal. So I paid off that amount, and then we decided to switch the exit strategy to a pad split, which would have needed more money.
Right.
So then I had another, whatever it was, $40,000, I think, to do the conversion after paying off the lender. So I think I'm all in on this one for somewhere around $90,000. Yeah, $90,000.
That was previously sitting in an IRA?
Yeah, that was all sitting in an IRA. And if I'm not mistaken, actually, I might have deployed some from my self-directed IRA and from my HSA on this, because when I gave Dom the first amount to pay off the other lender, I then used another amount to do the San Antonio pad split with him. And then when we talked about the other $40,000, I needed to pull from my HSA. So we're actually using two different retirement accounts to pay for it. And the process of rolling them into those accounts was pretty difficult just because the communication between all the companies was poor. I had to get on three-way phone calls, and they kept saying that this person's holding it up and then that person wasn't available. But after about 2 months, it took me 2 months to roll all my money.
To liquidate?
To have it deployable. And then now the last deployment of my capital took less than a day. It was just like...
So for people who don't know how the process works, right? So you contact the company that you're working with, which was Vanguard, right? Did you have to pay fees to liquidate that money? And the process, you said, took 2 months.
Yeah.
Could it have been a little bit quicker now that you know what you know now?
Yeah.
Or what type of fees are people looking at, right? Because there's probably people watching this like, oh, well, I have 40, 60K sitting in there. Yeah, it's doing really good. No, it's not doing good because of the market, whatever the market is doing, but they're worried about fees, being hit with fees.
Yeah, so the fees, Vanguard has a way of making it really painful to close your account, right? So I called them, I had a bunch of stock positions, and I said, I need to close all these positions. You would imagine somebody would be able to do that for you, because on your phone, you have to go through like 8 different pages of clicks to close one position out and then wait 3 days.
Yeah.
They said it would cost like $25 to close out a position per position to have one of their employees do it. So I just did it, but it was like, it's like an hour of click, 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 click. And then of course you have some sort of a fee every time you close a position. I think there's a small percentage or small amount that you had to pay them. But as far as rolling it over, I don't know that there's any fees from Vanguard. Equity Trust had a one-time fee. It's like their annual fee to have an account with them. And they just pulled it from the amount I had in retirement. It was like, I won't say the annual fee is a few $100. And that's like it's just when you start your account and you put the money in, you got to have that. And the HSA may have been similar. It's very small. I mean, there is a fee, but it's not like thousands of dollars.
Yeah. So that's awesome. So like, I deal with a lot of PMLs that I've been working with lately to fund another deal that I'm doing in Jacksonville. And so some PMLs might come in, he's in a different standpoint. Like he looked at it as like, this is an education piece and I'm bringing capital to the table. So where you are in a 9-to-5 right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So his goal is to get out of that 9-to-5. And so now he's getting an education piece in it. He's in Subto. You met Dom through Subto, right?
Yeah.
He joined a community, which is Subto. They collaborated. They probably never met each other in their life before.
This is the first time.
First time that you guys ever met was at this property?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the first time, they both live in 2 separate markets. They're both in a community. They've both collaborated, and they both built a relationship. He was the PML on the deal. Dom, which is not in this room, he had the deal, right? So you guys both collaborated with your both efforts, and you made this deal happen. Now, what I've been running into lately is there's private money lenders mostly want their money back within 6 to 12 months, right?
Yeah.
They want to be more of a gap lender sometimes, or they want quicker money. Now, there's a lot of PMLs out there that are like you, that are like, hey man, I have money sitting in a 401k, I'm working at my 9-to-5, yeah, I'm happy, I don't really intend to be in real estate, but I want to be able to lend on a deal, right? And get a better return. So right now I'm fishing those guys out because as I scale my portfolio, that's important to me. I want to be able to give them 12% on their money annualized.
Right.
So I'm fishing those guys out because they don't want to source the deal. They don't want to call around like Dom, right? Him and his team, they have to call around. There's a lot of resources they put into doing 4-6 assignments a month. Big buff Dom right here. So, you know, all that stuff put in consideration, somebody like you're getting that education piece, you're more on the transactional side, but you're actually here with boots on the ground, which most people aren't doing, you know? So you're really in the nitty gritty, but you don't have to be in the nitty gritty like he is as a PML. Dom could have said, hey man, let me borrow this money. I'm gonna take care of everything. You stay back home. You don't need to fly down here. Because you obviously had to invest in a flight. You're probably here putting furniture together. You know, it's a lot of work, right? Yeah. But again, it's that education piece, and now you're getting to see, you know, what a pad split is, you know, how it's going to run.
Yeah,
you know?
I think a lot of people can get better than 12% returns, but it's not like if you really want to be a passive investor with your money, I don't think you hear the stories of the fix and flips and the big chunks every 3 months and the gap lending and all these things. That takes time, and you have to be active as a lender. And you have to be a little bit more risk averse because you're not always going to have a Dom that's got these high, like if someone's doing so many good deals at a high return, they're going to start looking for lenders that are going to take lower margins. Right. So like if you can park your money for 12% for more than a year, like you should just, unless you're trying to be active in lending to make bigger, like that is your source of income. Yeah. I would say 12% is fair.
Dude, exactly. And that's actually what I've presented to a lot of PMLs that are in a position where they don't want to do all the sourcing. They don't want to have to fly down here like you. They don't want to put furniture together. They don't want to learn the process. Right. It's a great deal for them, especially when I secure, like, let me ask you this. What makes you feel secure as a lender when you get into deals? I'm offering people equity and other assets that I own, but what makes you feel, how do you analyze it? Like Dom hit you up and Dom said, hey, look, I got this deal, right? I want to present this to you. How are you looking at it? How are you underwriting it? As the active, I would say you're more of an active, you know.
I think understanding how you're protected with, first of all, with the securities, the promissory note, deed of trust, and all that is important. If you don't understand that and you're just filling out paperwork, you can do that, but it's like you should at least understand how you can protect yourself. But the relationship's the most important thing, because the reality is in some of these positions you don't have a good chance of getting all your money back if everything goes awry right now. So you're really investing in the people that are doing the deal, and they're, you know, that's your security, is the person that's you're conducting business with. So that's how I look at it.
Yeah, and you're getting a lien position on the property, getting secured by that way as well? Yeah. And so did you learn underwriting deals and analyzing deals as a lender through Subto? Yeah. Or are you also in Gator as well?
I'm in Gator.
Oh, you're in Gator as well?
I've spent 95% of my time in Subto as well. I joined them both whenever I joined, because you know how it is when you hit the PACE Morby funnel and you're like, I'm going to do all this. Then the reality sunk in that I didn't have enough time. You know, I work, it's not 9 to 5, it's 6 to 5. And then I have a wife and 2 kids. And then my time is so limited. So yeah, I had to narrow my focus down. And the first goal is to create more active income This was on the side. The lending was something it was something I started, and I just kept moving it forward and forward. And when it was ready, I said, "Hey, Dom, I have money ready to deploy. What do we got?" And I think I actually initiated, "Hey, I'm looking for deals to lend on." And he was, "Oh, hey, perfect. We got one." So I mean, surely most people don't find it hard to deploy somebody's money.
Yeah.
But you know, we worked together for at least half a year now, so there's a big. I would never lend on something like this to someone I didn't know. Right now, especially, I don't need that.
Yeah.
But I think part of my job also is raising capital, right? This is another reason why I did this. When I start to buy, I want to be able to look someone in the eyes when I'm asking for money and say, listen, I've done this before. I know how to do it. This is the deals I'm lending on, and this is how I was secured. And if I feel like if I haven't done it, who am I to ask them for money? And so knowing the process and how they're secured and what to do and all the what ifs has been a really good learning experience for me.
Yep.
So now, like this year, I don't know if I'll buy, maybe next year, almost certainly next year. But when I do, even if I have the money, the goal is to use other people's money. So I talk to private money lenders. Yeah, it's all my weekly goals is to talk to one private money lender a week. Maybe it's somebody that isn't actively lending but has a retirement fund. Maybe it's someone locally, maybe someone in Subto. There's several of them I've spoken to, and I just tell them about what I'm doing. I'm not asking them for money today. I don't need money today. But if you're raising capital when you need money, it's too late. You know, they talk about this all the time.
Even like the deal that I'm doing in Jacksonville, I have a PMP that was in on the deal. I brought them in to start, instead of borrowing the money, being it was a long-term buy and hold. This is a pad split that I'm closing on next week, purchasing it via Subto at a 2.75 interest rate. But I had a PMP on the deal. He couldn't get the vision for some reason, right? So I try to ask him, what don't you understand? I'm dissecting it. I got a pitch deck. I got the whole underwriting. Very methodical, but he's not in Subto. So getting him to understand how these Subto transactions work, and he's also not really into partnerships either. He likes to do everything by himself, but that's not scalable. And some people want to keep doing things all by themselves, and that's fine. But with that particular deal, I didn't start raising capital for a long time ago because I actually have the capital to deploy into that deal, worst case scenario. But what I've been doing lately is I've been mingling with PMLs because it is about velocity of money. Even though I have the money to purchase the deal, I want to be able to stretch my money wide, right? And so the PMLs that I've been coming across, they're all like, no, I want 6 months. I want 1 month. I want, you know, so right away when I talk to these people, I say, hey, look, this is a long term, 24 to 36 months, because if I'm borrowing 50 grand, how do I pay you back in 6 months? Right? It's not going to happen.
You got to get another lender.
Right.
That's the only option.
It ain't going to happen. So I'm looking for the Bob, the Joe, the Susie who works the 9 to 5, who maybe is content at their 9 to 5, and they do have some lazy capital sitting around. Maybe they inherited it. Maybe they did a scratch off ticket and they won 50 grand. I mean, it could be all types of ways. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of people sitting on money that is just sitting there doing nothing. So those are the people that are my avatar in PML. Because I think it's important for you to identify who's your avatar lender. So if I go to a bunch of Gators, I'm not going to have any success. I'm wasting my time. So it's very important that you know who you're going after, because the people I'm talking to they're short term. It's all short term. And so like you said, I'm offering 12% with a second lien position because I'm going to cross collateralize that property that I have. 0 equity in it. Well, 10 grand, but I don't consider that equity. Not enough for you to feel secure. So what he was saying earlier is you have your deed of trust or your mortgage and your note, and you put a lien position on a property that has, I would say, upwards of $100,000 to $200,000 in equity. Do you have a certain threshold that you look at for equity when you're lending into a deal?
You know, honestly, I was probably a little irresponsible with that because, you know, I was just so eager to get started. You should. You know, if I was using someone else's money, I would make sure they're more than secure. For these scenarios that I'm in with Dom, I think that I'm probably where most people would be a little uncomfortable, but that's my own decision. I just wanted to get in the deals. I wasn't worried about it. And, you know, you should always protect yourself and do that, cross-collateralize, make sure that you're going to get yours. But, you know, what they also say is if you don't loan on something you don't want to own. And like this place is going to be cash flowing heavy, like conservatively. After they pay me every month, it's like, I think it was close to 2,000 is what they're thinking. I mean, and so when you look at it from like a multifamily standpoint, it's a little bit of a different thought than a long-term rental, because essentially my understanding of how pad split's going to work is eventually it's going to be worth a lot more than just the value of the home, because you would look at it as a multifamily unit, right?
And you're going to look at cap rates.
Right. And I don't know what the cap rate's going to be. I didn't figure that, but
yeah,
I look at it completely different in this regard. But if it was a single family home, long-term rental, break even, cash flow, and you're not secured, like you need to be cross-collateralized with something else.
So I don't know if you know, I was on the other side of this deal. I'm the one who brought that buyer to this deal.
Oh, okay.
I'm the one who brought that buyer that didn't fund the deal.
Oh.
So this deal was a wraparound mortgage. We got to the 11th hour. We're under contract with them for what, 45 days, something like that. And this guy didn't fund the transaction. So this deal was actually supposed to be out of you guys' hair pretty much, other than you guys collecting that money every month from that buyer to pay the PITI of that first underlying loan, but he never funded. Being that pad split is a new exit strategy, Dom hit me up. He's like, bro, what do you think about this Tampa property? Do you think this would be a really good pad split? I was like, heck yeah, it will be. You know, when I looked at the proximity to the theme parks, you have Yingling Brewing Center here. The neighborhood's pretty nice.
Bus stops, walking, restaurants. I mean, the basic job growth in this area is astronomical. And it's a major metro market, which is Tampa. And I always tell people, I recommend you go into major metro markets to invest into for pad splits. Because the people who are gonna fuel your rooms are the basic job growth in the area. And so when I got with Dom on it, because he had that Houston property, he said, hey man, what do you think about this? When he showed me the Houston property, I was like, bro, that Houston property's not that good, man. You gotta take some better pictures or something and update the furniture. And so don't make it look like a jail sale. Yeah. And so he's done that here, and I'm actually proud of him because it looks really good. Nice updates. I mean, the rooms flow really well. The contractor that he hired made the walls and everything look really nice. I mean, the workmanship is really good. And I'm sure that he's here as a private money lender on the deal, and you're like, you feel secure on it. You feel like, wow, this is a viable business model, right? Yeah.
And now you're gonna keep scaling it because now you get to see it. So you're doing two birds with one stone.
Yeah, and as our wholesale team really hits the ground running this year, which it's been a phenomenal start to the year already. I'm earning a lot of money. I want to invest in buying at some point, and it's like, what's my buy box going to be, right? It's hard to determine.
Yeah.
So many things. What state, what city, what are you doing? Single family homes, multifamily. You know what I mean? It's so hard to decide. And so when I look at models like this, it's like, how can you argue with the value in doing these? And if Dom's still interested in doing those, you know, we might start partnering on these, whether I drum up the leads or find a deal. Like, I know what to look for a good pad split now.
Yeah.
So if we can buy a few high